Hi everyone, welcome to Hepatitis B 101. We're Team HBV, a student group that advocates for hepatitis B and other health disparities. We're really excited today to be teaching you about hepatitis B and we hope that you'll learn a lot. To start off with introductions, my name is Sandra and I am from Dallas, Texas.
Hi, I'm Ryan, and I'm proud to be born and raised in Hawaii.
Hi everyone, my name is Ben and I am from Stamford, Connecticut.
Greetings, I am Andrew and I am from Cupertino, California.
Awesome. So before we start off the lecture, I want everyone to grab a sheet of paper, a pencil, and pause this video to take 5 seconds to write down anything that comes to mind when I say hepatitis B. Okay, great. Now we're back. So throughout this video, we'll start off with a short lecture that hopefully answer any of your questions that come to mind when I said hepatitis B. And at the end of the video, you'll have a chance to participate in really fun games.
First, what is hepatitis B? Simply, it's the infectious disease caused by the hepatitis B virus. The prefix hepat refers to the liver, and the suffix itis indicates an inflammation. Together, we can see that hepatitis is identified by inflammation in the liver. Now to find your liver, take your right hand and place it over your rib cage. This is about where your liver should be. Why is the liver important? Well, it's the largest internal organ, about the size of a football, and is very important in filtering blood and breaking down chemicals and drugs. It also secretes bile to digest fat.
Hepatitis B infection has 2 stages. The first one is called the acute stage, which means that the person has encountered the virus for the first time. Acute hepatitis B can last up to 6 months, and it can be pretty scary. It's characterized by a loss of appetite, nausea, vomiting, body aches, mild fever, dark urine, and jaundice, which is the yellow coloration of the skin and the whitening of the eyes. Acute hepatitis B can be cleared spontaneously by the immune system, or it can lead to chronic hepatitis B. The official distinction in diagnosing someone with chronic hepatitis B is if they have had the virus in their body for 6 months without being able to clear it all out via their immune responses. Chronic hepatitis B is a lifelong disease, and in the long run, it involves a lot of serious consequences that could lead to further liver damage. Only 5% of adults will reach this stage, but the younger the age of initial infection, the more likely it is that the person will develop chronic hepatitis B. For instance, 90% of infected infants and 25% to 50% of children infected between the ages of 1 and 5 will develop chronic hepatitis B. As we mentioned before, chronic hepatitis B is a lifelong disease. Some of the consequences resulting from this are cirrhosis, which is a condition where the liver does not function properly due to long-term damage, thus resulting in liver failure. Long-term scarring from the liver damage will either slow or stop blood flow through the portal vein, which prevents normal function. Cirrhosis also leads to a higher risk of developing liver cancer.
So now I'm going to go over the process of inflammation. So inflammation is when your immune system responds to harmful pathogens. So you can think of pathogens as the bad guys, the foreign agents that enter your body. And as you might guess, your body will try to fight them off using these immune cells, which you can think of as the police force, the policemen in your body. So there, as you can see, there are some cells that secrete signals, and there are also cells shown here that will literally eat up the bad guys the bad guys that do enter your body, those pathogens. And once they eat those bad guys, they will then tell killer T cells to secrete chemicals, telling other cells in your body that were infected by the pathogen to kill themselves. And as you could guess, if this inflammation persists for a long time, it will cause problems, specifically when the killer T cells are active for a very, very long time, that will lead to damage in the liver, and thus you will see scarring and just liver injury symptoms, which we will show you in the next few slides.
Great. Now that Andrew has gone over inflammation, I want to show you what a liver looks like. So this image here is what a healthy liver usually looks like. And as we've discussed, a healthy liver is very important for your body because it detoxifies harmful chemicals, it stores nutrients, and it also fights against infections in your body. Now, before I go on to the next series of images, I just want to give a little bit warning for those who are sensitive to graphic images. If you want, you can skip ahead by 30 seconds. So what we have here is what a liver can look like after it's been infected by chronic hepatitis B. The image on the left is a liver that's been infected by cirrhosis or scarring, and this is a sign of end-stage liver failure. And all those little bumps on the liver are what happens when your liver is responding to all of these harmful pathogens that's infecting the liver. The image on the right is of liver cancer. And as you can see, there are a lot of white spots in the liver, and that's caused by tumors. So while all of this is happening inside your body, you, your friends, or your family, they may appear perfectly fine on the outside. So you might be wondering, why do I need to worry about the virus? And that's why the hepatitis B virus is known as the silent killer. Even if you're chronically infected, you may be showing no symptoms. And that's because all of this is happening internally. This is why over 2 out of 3 people who are currently infected by hepatitis B are unaware.
When we are considering the diagnosis of hepatitis B, we should remember that it is a viral infection. Therefore, it is possible to detect the presence of the virus in the body. Viral antigens are proteins produced by the virus. They are like fingerprints of the criminal that you're trying to catch. If present, this is evidence of infection. Antibodies are proteins produced by the immune system if it has seen the virus before. If present, this could be evidence of immunity. The most common way of diagnosing HBV is by detecting the presence of these viral antigens or antibodies in serum or blood tests. Now, what if you were to be tested for hepatitis? What would be the best possible result for the HBV antigens, also called HBsAg, and the antibodies, anti-HBs? Well, you would hope to test negative for the antigens, meaning that the virus is not currently present in your body, but positive for the antibodies, meaning that you have immunity to the virus.
So, how is hepatitis B transmitted? Well, there is a simple acronym, BBS. Hepatitis B can be spread through blood, birth, and sex. Hepatitis B can be spread through the blood through methods such as sharing needles and open wound exposure. During birth, when the mother is giving birth to her newborn, the barrier between the two breaks and their blood mixes. So if the mother is infected, then the child can also become infected. Lastly, hepatitis B is an STI. So in terms of sex, the hepatitis B virus can be found in vaginal secretions and semen. Common misconceptions about how hepatitis B is spread are also a problem in raising awareness. It is important to know that hepatitis B is not transmitted through water, air, food, saliva, sharing utensils, or breastfeeding. It is important to raise awareness about this because in some countries, these myths can lead to discriminatory practices against hepatitis B patients. Unfortunately, while there is a great vaccine for hepatitis B, there is currently no cure approved by the FDA. Acute hepatitis B can be cleared spontaneously without treatment, but chronic hepatitis B cannot be cleared. It can only be managed in the stages before liver cancer. There are various treatments that exist, and they all aim to stop viral replication. Unfortunately, these antiviral drugs cannot yet fully eliminate the virus.
So now we're going to go a little into more about the public health side of hepatitis B. So the World Health Organization declared hepatitis to be a major global health problem. So specifically, who does HBV affect? Well, a third of the world's population has been infected at one time with this virus, and 240 million people across the world are chronically infected. And if they don't receive the proper treatment, 1 in 4 with chronic hepatitis B will eventually succumb to liver cancer. And this amounts to 1 to 2 deaths per minute, which is an astounding death rate. And specifically around the world, if as shown on this map, HBV affects people mostly in sub-Saharan Africa and across East and Southeast Asia, and affects around 90 million people in China and 75 million people in sub-Saharan Africa.
And now I would like to compare hepatitis B to another really well-known infectious disease known as COVID-19. This pandemic has wreaked havoc across the entire globe. And currently in China, there were less than 90,000 cases of COVID-19. In comparison, hepatitis B is affecting over 90 million people in China alone, as mentioned. Some similarities: this virus can both be spread asymptomatically. So as we mentioned, some people who are infected may not show any symptoms at all. Zooming in onto the US, up to 2.2 million people are currently infected by the virus, and over half of them are of Asian and Pacific Islander background. To provide more context, the Asian and Pacific Islander populations in the US comprise only 5% of the US population, but comprise more than half of those infected in the US. And that is why we consider it to be one of the greatest health disparities between those of Asian and Pacific Islander background and the general population in the US. In comparison, 1 in 10 of API background are chronically infected by hepatitis B, compared to 1 in 1,000 for Caucasian Americans. And focusing on some specific ethnicities, currently 1 in 12 Korean Americans are infected, 1 in 10 Chinese Americans, and 1 in 8 Vietnamese Americans.
So in Hawaii, with its large Asian and immigrant populations, there is an increased risk of hepatitis. In fact, more than 1 out of every 20 people have the disease. As a result, Hawaii has the second highest rate of liver cancer. Looking at a map of the Pacific, we see that there are high rates of hepatitis across all the Pacific Islands. In fact, if Hawaii was its own country, it would exceed the 1 to 2% threshold where the CDC recommends that everyone get tested for the disease.
There is still a great need for a cure for hepatitis B. While current treatments are effective and becoming more affordable, these daily antivirals require lifelong use, and there is still no approved cure. What can you do to help? We like to call these the 5 Gs. These are ways that you, your peers, and your family can get involved. The first G is to get tested. Getting tested for hepatitis B is a simple blood test. Remember, chronic hepatitis B is the silent killer, and it usually does not have any symptoms until it is too late. So be sure to get tested today.
The second G is get vaccinated. If your blood tests show that, number 1, you are negative for hepatitis B surface antigens, and you're also negative for hepatitis B antibodies, then you are susceptible, and you should get the vaccine, because if you don't have the antibodies, you won't have the defense necessary to fight off any hepatitis B infections. So there are 2 strategies. One strategy is to get 3 shots of the vaccine over 6 months, or to get 2 shots over 1 month, depending on the availability of the vaccine in your area. And now the third G is get treatment. So remember, hepatitis B does not have a cure, but it could be treated. And everyone's health conditions are different, so discuss with your doctor about what treatment is right for you. And once you do get a treatment, get those checkups, there's a blood test to check for liver damage or liver cancer, and You will also get ultrasounds every 6 to 12 months. And if you do follow these procedures, we will assure you that you will live a long and healthy life. And as the Star Trek character once said, live long and prosper.
The next G is get involved. Volunteer with local campaigns or organizations that are seeking to spread awareness and raise awareness of hepatitis B, or try to look out for local liver organizations. And next G is get started. Passion to action. As we've mentioned, we're all members of Team HBV. And a great way for you to get involved at the youth advocacy level is connect with an existing chapter at your middle school, high school, or college. And if there isn't one, you can start one. And through these chapters, you can create your own outreach events, get involved in the local community, and reach out to those who you think are high at risk. Contact regional.collegiate@teamhbv.org to get started.
Here in Hawaii, there are many awesome organizations that are helping to fight hepatitis. One of them is Hep Free Hawaii, a local partner of Team HBV. You can check them out at hepfreehawaii.org. In addition to helping us put together this presentation, they're also sponsoring some pretty cool prizes that you can win for playing our Jeopardy game. Before you get started, we all just wanted to thank you for allowing us to share with you this important message that could save thousands, even millions of lives. Mahalo nui loa, and a hui ho.